we are eligible for grants that when we partner with other organizations, the town and county, that can further all of our goals and help us financially. Thank you. And can help us financially to achieve some of those same goals and support our citizens. One example of a grant that we've already received this year is the MUMS grant for $25,000. That is the first part of a larger grant we have applied for to actually purchase 2 buildings as an organization in downtown Farmville. This part of the first grant is for a feasibility study that will help us to figure out the best uses for the buildings, ideas and renovation, and hopefully we'll get the full grant to purchase these buildings and help to generate cash flow as well as to continue the beautification of downtown. We also have a large fundraiser planned this year in August, which we've already worked with the town on permits and solidifying the dates. So it'll be down on Main Street, on Dancing in the Streets. So that's just some of the goals that we have started to bring in revenue to our organization. We just want to make sure people are aware of what we have going on and to think about us in your planning efforts and ways that we can work together and help each other out. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have 4 people in parentheses pertaining to Longwood University. Anyone want to speak first, second, third?
We can approach together.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, Mr. Chairman and Board. We thank you for your time tonight. I am Jessica. I am a social work student at Longwood University. We are here on behalf of Phi Alpha, which is our social work honors fraternity. We would like to ask you to proclaim April as Child Abuse Prevention Month. We have done this in the past, and we hope to do so again. We would observe and honor this month by doing service projects such as tablings, and also provide training such as Stewards for Children.
Thank you, Jess. My name is Ian Danielson. I'm Assistant Professor of Social Work at Longwood and faculty advisor for the honors organization that Jess mentioned. Jess mentioned that in honor and observance of Child Abuse Prevention Month, we would put on training activities. Those would be inclusive of Longwood faculty, staff, members of the community, and we'd like to expand our efforts to include folks from Hampton-Sydney as well. We're in partnership with Department of Social Services, with Natasha Parker and Kim Allen to work together. We're going to have pinwheel gardens. We're going to have awareness raising activities. The training that Jess mentioned refers to Stewards of Children training, of which I'm an authorized facilitator. It's a national sexual abuse prevention training that helps anyone in the lay community know the signs to look for, how to respond, how to report, how to seek information, to act in a way that is protective to children. This is important for 12 months out of the calendar year, but particularly important in April when we really try to do interventions to move the needle, to have an effect on people's competencies and skills to be protective to children. We're fortunate, as I used to work for Greater Richmond SCAN, which stands for Stop Child Abuse Now, a nonprofit in Richmond. In April, they provide all the training materials for as many people as we can train in the community at no cost. So we're able to take good advantage of that opportunity and train as many people. So we would offer to partner with you. Again, as Jess mentioned in the past, we've worked together to develop language. If the board would declare April Child Abuse Prevention Month, maybe we could finalize the proclamation in March, and then we would keep you all abreast, certainly, of our activities to try to empower those in the community in those things that I mentioned. So thank you for your time and consideration. And now I'd like to pass the microphone to Taylor Morrison.
Hello, I'm Taylor Morrison. As I said, I'm part of Phi Alpha at Longwood for the social work department, and we are just asking for you guys to go in on this with a proclamation. Like they've said, we've done this before, and we are actually new to the organization, so we're excited to see how that goes and really jump into these activities in April to not only help with a variety of activities to show awareness, but also the training so that we can actually make a difference with this and not just talking about it being that month, but making a difference throughout the community and really trying to partner with not just Longwood this time, but with Hampton and Sydney and broadening out to bring in community members with social services and stuff like that. So we just would really appreciate your support with that.
And that's our short presentation. If you have any questions for us.
When do you need the declaration by?
In the past, we've worked together between February and March, and then maybe approved it in the March meeting, if that's satisfactory to you all, and that gives us some margin looking ahead to April, if that's okay with you all.
I think that's been the past.
Yeah,
protocol,
we've
right?
done it in the past.
Yeah, past protocol.
Thank you for your time so very
Thank
much.
Thank you for what you do.
Thanks for doing it.
Yeah,
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
very good.
Next, we have the board members' comments. Bill?
I think it'd be a good thing.
Oh,
We need it in this area.
Cannon?
And this is our comments in general, right? Not just that
Yes.
issue. Yeah, it's great. And community involvement, talking about partnering with us, that's fantastic. And thanks for making the effort to come at this hour. And thank you all. It's what a great crowd. It's nice to hear from you all. I've heard from lots of constituents about several issues lately, many of which I knew a little bit about, but were unaware of a couple of things. That's how you solve problems.
Jerry?
Thank you for being here, as always, and I want to extend my condolences to Mr. Stanley, loss of his father, so, most definitely, we need to keep him and his family in prayer. But thank you for being here, and we appreciate your support and what you do.
I say the same thing, I think every time I say appreciate you all being here and for your input, because it's what keeps us abreast of what's going on in the community. It's a large crowd tonight, and we're mighty thankful for it. Thanks for being here. For Ian, I appreciate your willingness to take this on. I know in the years past that you've done so, and we appreciate you continuing to do so.
Harrison?
Well, I'm thankful for a seat at the table this evening. Happy Valentine's to everybody. I appreciate you giving up your evening to be involved in local government. I think that's really important, and that's a freedom that we get to enjoy here in this place. We shouldn't take it for granted. So I thank you for being here, for Mr. Danielson, and your willingness to lead this group of students who are going above and beyond the regular college experience. Those honor societies are extra. Students aren't required to do that, but they choose to because they want to take advantage of the time that they have in school and make a real impact in this community. So thank you for what you've done and the work that you continue to do.
Thank you. Patty?
I'd like to say good evening to everyone. Thank you for all of you for being here today. And Prince Edward Social Services and Mr. Danielson, your group, I think you do a fantastic job in getting that information out and how important it really is to us. And from the Farmville Downtown Partnership, thank you for your book. It gives us something to look at, to kind of keep a guide on, watching what's going on in our town. And I'd like to thank our town manager, Mr. Scott, for being here this evening. And hope that you enjoy your meeting and that you learn by coming to this meeting. You get to see it firsthand. Sometimes you hear things in the newspaper, it's not all what it's cracked up to be, but if you're here with the seat at the table, you really do understand what we do. And to the school board for your presentation this afternoon. Thank you.
Ms. Pryor?
Good evening. I voiced the sentiments of other supervisors, and Harrison took my comment. Thank for you taking this evening of love, which is Valentine's Day, to come out and be a part of the governing process. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My comments are pretty much the same. I'm glad to see everyone. I thank you folks and these young ladies for the work you do. It's a wonderful thing. And Valentine's Day is a very important day. Glad to see all of you here. And again, Doug, we are sorry about the loss of your dad.
Yeah.
We're here, anything we can do to help you. Thank you all. Moving right along, consent agenda. Any comments? Any things we need to look at?
I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call for a roll vote. Bill?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Odessa?
Yes.
And my vote is yes. It's carried. Next, Scott Frederick, Highway Matters.
Good evening, Chairman and Board. Thank you for having me tonight. Unfortunately, I couldn't be with you last month. I was up in Cumberland, but Sarah Puckett graciously sent me y'all's comments, and I think I got them pretty well addressed. A couple of them will have to have follow-up at a later date because I have to involve other offices to get them, but go through those real quick. On Old Ridge Road, Supervisor Jenkins, you asked about a center line being placed on that road. Around the time those lots were selling and they started building, we had traffic engineering study the road, and that's when we put up some of the advanced warning signage at the curves. And at that time, I think they were trying to get the speed limit reduced and a center line, and traffic engineering didn't recommend it. But they said that, you know, as the homes get built and the traffic increases, they would be happy to restudy it. So it sounds like it's about time to resubmit that section.
Yes, so don't mind, we like to do that.
Yeah, so we'll be happy to do that. The first few comments here were from you. I was going to ask, we might have to talk more a little offline. I went and spent some time out in the Rice Depot area with the speed limit. And I checked to make sure all the existing speed limit signs were up, and it is sign 35. So I'm really wondering if people are already exceeding the current posted speed limit, or if,
Yeah, well, that's just kind of what it is, it is, you know, so we might get it for 25.
yeah, well, maybe just having it more, like more enforcement, or maybe some kind of traffic calming measures might be better than lowering the speed limit further.
Does it cost anything to lower it down?
Well, if you lower it down, people will still go as fast as they feel comfortable going.
Then when you get caught going fast, they get
A
a
bigger
stronger ticket.
That would be true. So, but I think I'd be happier if people would go 35 than to lower it down. But like I said, I'd like to talk to you more offline and maybe talk specific routes and like
So
a speed.
if I get everybody to come from Rice at the next meeting, and I'll sit out here, then you talk to them, right? I don't have to go to every house and tell them.
No,
I get them come to the meeting,
Yeah.
and then you can tell them all at one time.
I could do that.
Just do that.
Okay.
Okay, sir?
Moving right along though, the periods of heavy rainfall where the water was ponding on the
That
side
looks
of
wonderful.
460.
Good job.
Oh, thank
Great
you.
job.
Yeah, we got that issue addressed, and
Good job.
we actually armored that ditch up, so
That's good.
hopefully it'll stay the way it is now. Then also, right down the road from there on 460, at Pisgah Church Road, we filled, there was a pothole in the shoulder of that radius.
That looks good now, too.
We got that filled in. And then I put a work order in, I think this one came in from Supervisor Townsend, to get the route number sign back up at Dempsey Road.
Yeah, it's still down.
Still down, I
Well,
think
this morning now.
it was down
Maybe
this
up this evening.
We'll find out. I don't know.
Thanks, Jerry.
I haven't got that put back up yet, but we're working on it.
Scott, there's a few other signs in that area, in that community, that's either leaning or if they could straighten them up. Like
Okay,
at Mount Pleasant Road, when you first turn off on 15, that one needs to be straightened up. And,
okay.
since they're in that area, if they could do that.
Yeah, but, yeah, we have to, they all need to be straightened up at some point, so it sounds like we need to just, like you said, kind of patrol the area. Okay, we'll get that done. And then I wanted to check with you. I think we've gotten all the trees up on 633 and 634.
They good.
Okay, good. Gotcha.
I'm satisfied.
We were out on 633 today putting shoulder stone down. We put like 30 tons of stone down along the edges where it'd been drop-offs were
Okay.
getting created. So
Very good.
I think, yeah, thank you for the feedback on the trees. And we've done some patching on Oliver Road, Super Chairman Gilman. It doesn't mean it seems like this time of year with the freeze thaw that we're going through, you can patch it today and a pothole will be back tomorrow. But we've kind of patrolled that route and took care of everything that was there that we found while we were out there. So let me know if it needs anything else. And then that stop sign, the last one on the list from last month was a stop sign at Hampton Sydney Road and Five Forks, that it was knocked askew. I think we got that straightened up right after the last meetings. That was everything from last month. We've been just up to a normal wintertime routine maintenance. Like I said, adding shoulder stone. We got both of our boom axes up and going. We've been cutting a lot of brush back in the whole county. We finished up down in the Corner Road area, southeast corner of the county. Tomorrow, we're planning to get Chapel Road boom axe back, and then after that, we're moving to the Tuggle area and going to get a lot of different roads in Tuggle. Just trying to keep our roads graded and adding stone to them as we can. It's tough to grade a road this time of year with the moisture content in them as high as it is. If you cut them too much, they get kind of muddy. So, but mostly adding stone to the muddy spots. Let's see here. We were out on 460 today, clipping the high shoulders down and then adding stone in the low areas. And then, other than that, just taking care of our routine work orders. We've had 3 winter weather events that we've had skeleton crews in for in the last month. Seems like we're in about a once-a-week pattern with that, but hopefully February can either be a long month or a short month. I'm hoping we'll have better weather the rest of the month. The only other thing I wanted to mention is that we finally got the work group for the school traffic put together, and we're meeting for the first time on Friday at my office. So I think Sarah and Trey are coming, Supervisor Jones is going to come to that, and I have a member from the parent-teacher organization is going to be part of the committee. I don't think she can make the first meeting, but good representation. The sheriff's is going to come, but hoping to have a lot of different input from a lot of different parties and have a good meeting. We got some aerial footage I think Trey captured, and we got handouts ready, everything we need for the meeting. So we'll keep you guys posted with how it goes and anything that we come up with. And hopefully we can get any changes we do come up with implemented before the start of next school year. But does the board have any comments or concerns for me before
I have a concern.
Yes, ma'am.
633.
Okay.
633, new homes are going up
Okay.
as you're coming to the right. And what's happening with the excessive rain, that water is getting ready to come across the road right into somebody's yard. I won't call any names, it's quite close. Is it left up to the individual who owns that land to do pipes so the water would flow better? Because that water is just standing and then coming across the road.
Okay.
Who is it left up to put
Well,
the footage?
when they build a house, they have to get a driveway permit for the house. So it sounds like they either haven't built the finished driveway or what they are building just isn't working right. But we can
I
certainly,
think that's the case.
Yeah, maybe
Because a
it's-
driveway's been built and they put up another house just in the last week. So you're gonna continue to see the problems,
right. Okay, well, we'll go out there and we'll talk to the builder,
okay?
see what's going on with it.
Thank you.
Any other members?
Yeah, I got
Jerry?
one.
Okay.
Scott, the bridge on Worsham Road,
Yes, sir.
is that gonna be replaced or? Have you been on it?
I haven't been on it in the last few weeks. Is it a new issue coming up
It's
with?
rough.
Rough, okay. Last year, we did some.
Yeah, it's coming up, it's literally coming apart. Now, I know in the last 2 weeks, they've done some pothole work on that road. But that bridge, that's probably one of the last bridges that need to be replaced.
Yes, sir.
Concrete?
Last year there was a rotten timber underneath of it, and we did we replaced the rotten timber and got it back to what it was.
You got more rotten timber?
Maybe so. I do know it's getting close to being replaced. I think it's a rather low load posting on that bridge. But, I'll see when it is scheduled to be replaced.
Or either they just need, if you can just go have someone take a look at it, do some
Yeah,
work to it.
see if we can add some leveling to
Yeah,
make
yeah,
it ride
it's-
better.
It's rough.
Okay.
Okay. Also, I know your contract was releasing the 460.
Yes, sir.
What about 15 north and south?
We haven't done that one with the contractor yet.
I know, that's been a couple of years.
Yeah. I've been staying focused on the 4 lanes, 460, 360.
Do you think we can work 15 southbound, northbound in?
We can certainly get a quick quote and to have them do it. There's several sections of it that are adopted by local fraternities, sororities.
Yeah, like from Kingsville up to Worsham Store.
Yeah.
When you get past Briar Creek on up, going toward Keysville, toward County Line Road, road need policing.
Okay. Well, I'll start by, I'll reach out to any of the sections that are adopted through the Adopt a Highway program, maybe get them to pick those up. I hate to have a contractor pick something up that's adopted by somebody else, but
Yeah.
the sections that aren't adopted, I'll have those.
I think you can find it like from Briar, from Worsham Store, south. You gonna find that those areas are not adopted.
Okay, yeah. I'll certainly take a look at it. Maybe we can do it a spot or two and get the worst parts done.
Unadopted, unloved.
David?
Isham Road, right off of Rattler's Branch. I've gotten several phone calls in the last 2 weeks. I realize the weather's bad, but that's still a dirt road and it's in pretty bad shape. And the culvert, you all have attended to it 2 or 3 times right there at Peaks Church, goes underneath. They said it was filling up again.
Okay.
I know that Danny has removed all the trees across the road, and they said it'd be a good time for you to come in there and root that or whatever.
Okay, yeah, we're happy to.
If
So
you check
Isham at Rattler's Branch
That's
is,
correct. When it comes off of the, macadam there onto dirt, it's a bad place to go.
okay,
And then Peaks Road, just past Peaks Church, be north of Peaks Church, about 200 yards.
okay.
It's the one that you all have looked at.
I remember it. I think Jeff was here. He's not here tonight, but I think Jeff was the last one to really clean that out and ditch it out again. So,
That's been a while.
about close to 2 years.
I'm just
So,
messing with you, Scott.
yeah. You guys keep me on my toes. Any other?
Scott, I have one other question.
Yes, ma'am.
When is the finalization date on the project 15 South? With the bridge repair?
I'm surprised that they haven't pulled that out yet. I don't know if they had weather delays or what, but they're behind schedule. And I wish I would have looked and got an update on that one before coming tonight, but I'll reach out to you and let you know.
Let me ask you one other question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, with the red lights, it's red here, red here, red here. If at night you come to that red,
I might have to rely on the expert.
I'm serious. This might be a political question, but I want to know the answer. Okay, I'm coming from Farmville,
Yes, ma'am.
red light, no traffic
You have the right to
coming.
remain silent.
Can you make a right turn on County Line Road, or you have to stay there with that red light until it turns green?
According to state code, you can make right on red.
To the best of my knowledge, there's no
Because at that point,
sign
it's a
saying no
one-way-
right turn.
All right, so I
One
can
way.
make that right on red.
To the best of my knowledge.
Because it's a one-way, it becomes a one-way. You can turn
I mean, it makes a lot of sense. You just sit there and wait, and it's no traffic coming on the opposite side. But there is no sign that says don't turn right. So, okay,
So you can turn right.
so I'm gonna turn right.
Odessa, I understand what you're thinking is because the sign is in front of you and you've got to go around it to make your turn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hope
Okay.
nobody come
So
in.
I guess maybe we've had somebody else weigh in that you might not be exactly going right.
I didn't admit anything.
But anyway, the project is behind. It soon should be over. So
Yes,
hopefully
ma'am. It was
that will
only
take
supposed
care.
to take 5 weeks. I think they
Oh,
were
no,
delayed
it's
by the
way
weather.
beyond that.
Yeah, so I think it should be wrapping up soon. I'll let you know an exact date if
I
I can get
appreciate
one.
that.
No problem.
Thank you.
While you're in the neighborhood with David's, Mr. Byler's wood processing plant on Singleton, the culvert is stopped up right down below his entrance. All the water's coming right across the road. And also on the Five Forks Road, next to Jack Davis, they just timbered a big piece of land. And I don't know whether the culvert is stopped up or crushed, but the water is not going through it.
Okay.
And
That,
the last little tidbit, I know you don't want to hear it, but coming 460 west the other day, a car from South Carolina was in the right lane. There was quite a conversation going on. You can see them, pointing and looking. And I backed off and gave them the whole road, and they needed it. He made it. It wasn't pretty, but he made it.
yes, sir. We have a plan together. We used a consultant to draw us a traffic plan, layout. We're gonna neck all that down to one lane. Way back, it's gonna start before the half-mile signs.
Good.
It'll have, the striping will be by the book, a lane drop, everybody's gonna get in the left lane well in advance of it. And then when you get up to 307, you're gonna take a right turn. It's supposed to be done by May 21st.
Good, good.
We're actually gonna resurface all through there, and when we get done putting the new asphalt down, that's when we're gonna put the new striping and everything in at the same time, so the road won't have any scars on it. It won't be confusing at all, so.
Nice.
What's the chance of getting engineering to open them back up to 2 lanes and go back to a stop sign, Scott?
Well, before we did the Smart Scale project, we were having a ton of rear-end collisions at that intersection, and
Rear end's not near as bad as turning over, though.
exactly. So we fixed
Help me,
that.
Tony.
We fixed the rear-end collisions, but what we didn't realize was that we were gonna have this new problem come up. So once we get this striping plan implemented, we shouldn't have any problems left. The rear-end collisions will be gone, and the road departures and angle crashes are gonna be solved as well.
Scott, can you repeat what the timeline was for that, for 307?
We have the plan done now. We have that area scheduled to be resurfaced, and we've made it, the contractor has to pave those roads first, and he has to have that section of 460 repaved, and the striping will be in the new configuration, May 21st. So, no problem. Chairman Goodwin, can you tell me the second location you were telling me about with the stopped-up culvert one more time?
Right behind Jack Davis's home, east of his driveway.
Scott, that's the address with the map that I sent you that needed the chevrons because of the timber cutting.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, I sent you a map that showed you where the chevrons needed to go.
Gotcha.
Out on Five Forks.
gotcha, okay.
Mile east of 22, 1 mile west of Bush River. Halfway between.
Okay, gotcha. All righty, thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Thank
Scott.
you.
Thanks, Scott.
Appreciate it.
Got one more question.
Okay, yes, sir.
So Susan wanted to change the name of the road. How did it go about changing the name?
I haven't had that come up before, but I can figure it out for you.
Let me know.
I want to say
So I can pass
it may
it on.
take action by y'all's part more so than us, but I'll figure that out. I've never
Let me
had
know.
that come up.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you, sir.
You get to go home, Scott, Jerry and I, but we don't have an excuse tonight for
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Thanks so
Appreciate it.
much. Next on the agenda, community partners update. Our town manager here for Farmville, Mr. Scott Davis, please.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Some of y'all forgot your red for Valentine's Day, but you'll be forgiven. That's okay. Thank you all for having me this evening to give an update from the town of Farmville. Some news is our charter amendment is going well in the General Assembly. It's in crossover and on both sides of the House that it was passed, so that should be done by the end of, and for the governor's signature. We are in the budget process, as I mentioned to you last time. What we're forecasting for the town is that we see in the current year and hopefully in next year that meals tax and lodging are doing quite well over in anticipated revenues, and so we hope that that continues in next year as well. With those being two of the largest revenue sources for the town, that's encouraging. The town council had a retreat this past half-a-day Friday and half-a-day on Saturday. We did this about 2.5 years ago, and so we did it again since we had some new members of council and a new mayor in office to set our work plan for the next year to 3 to 5, depending on some of the projects that might take that long to get done. And in doing that, they decided that they, a tentative, because the work plan hasn't been adopted yet, but from that meeting, they have come up with a new mission statement for the town of Farmville that they will vote on. So I wanted to share that with you in a vision statement. And that is, a mission is to provide efficient, effective, and equitable service and encourage diverse growth in our charming community. And the vision statement is a vibrant place to live, work, and recreate. So our strategic goals from that obviously is in a lot of those areas as far as how we can build for this to be a vibrant place to live, work, and in recreation. Some of those are we're going to do some studies to see what the cost will be in the future. We have obviously some water and sewer lines that are of significant age in some areas still. And so we're going to do, in essence, an asset management plan study to look at all of our assets, whether it's water, sewer, our streets, our sidewalks. Many of them, when they were put in, were ADA compliant. Today, they don't meet those standards necessarily, and you don't have to until you go to replace them or do something new. But we have that on our list to look at. Also, in our comprehensive plan that was done a few years ago, it talked about transportation, but mobility in the town. And so we're also going to look at how we can implement bike lanes in the future within the town of Farmville. So there's a lot of things that we're going to look at. And as I shared with the council, when we get those back, we'll see how quickly and how effectively we can do that, depending on what that cost might be, and when we put it in the capital outlay projects. But it is an exciting time for us, and we look forward to working with you all. That was another initiative in the council's retreat, was for obviously Doug and I to continue to work well together as we have in different initiatives. And Chairman Gillum, you should be hearing from the mayor soon, because the council would like to, it's been a while since both governing bodies have been together to have a conversation amongst yourselves, and I think that will be coming in the near future. I shared with them about Doug and I working to look at how we can work together on looking at a combined emergency communication center in that effort. And you know, I always tell Doug, I'm open to ideas too, if the county ever wants to join us in recreation at some point in time. I'm open to any other questions.
Question. Where they tore down the building, the education center, the daycare thing, right up there on 4th Street, what's going there behind Longwood now?
Oh, Longwood University is moving their facilities building to that location. And then they'll I believe the plan, correct, hopefully I have this right. And then they've been funded for a new music facility where the current facility structure is.
If I have a question about paving within town limits, do I talk to you or the other Scott?
If it's in town limits, unfortunately, I'm your person.
Okay.
No, we have a schedule for the most part of when we do paving, and a lot of it's based on need and where it is.
Sure.
And then in the age that it was done last. But I'd be happy to sit down and talk to you about any of those and show you where they might be in our comprehensive plan in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Y'all have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We're a little behind on our 7:30 public hearing. We will go ahead and ask Ms. Johnson if she will step to the stand, and Tony Epps, we will ask you to wait till we get through, and then we'll come back to you.
Ask you to wait a minute.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Chairman Gillum, Mr. Stanley, and board members, thank you very much for allowing me to share a few updates from Prince Edward County Public Schools today. I will be brief, as I know you have a very full agenda. I first want to recognize our school system and our parents and students. Our January attendance is improving. We are at 91% across the board, which is spectacular because high school students typically bring down our overall average. And even our high school students are showing up and they are on time and ready to learn. So that is a huge accomplishment. Our campaign is SOAR. We keep putting the message out there, so please, if you have children, grandchildren, make sure they get on the buses or make sure that whoever is bringing them to school gets them there every day and on time. So thank you for that. I'd like to do a public shout out to our elementary PTO. Our elementary parents demonstrated their appreciation for our elementary staff today by giving them a duty-free catered lunch. So that just shows the power of family and community and parents. Our teachers were very, very appreciative, and we want to say thank you. It helps with morale, attendance, and it just makes us all feel like we're family. So a huge, huge shout out to the elementary PTO. Number 3, I have 6, so I'm on number 3. Our track is open. So thank you all very much for setting aside funds so that we could continue with some of our site improvement projects. One was our track. We said that it would be ready by spring season, and it is in fact ready, and students are out there practicing every day. So thank you all very much. It's beautiful. In case you like to walk the track, you can walk it in the evenings. The community can use it in the evenings as long as our students are not practicing. I'm going to save the best for last. Mosley School construction. If you remember, we had an ad hoc committee to work on designs for the elementary school. I want you to know that that ad hoc committee is still active. We will call another session with that committee at the end of February. But Mosley Architects have been employed to create the design, and they will be in town probably late February, early March. They will speak to members of the PTO. They will have general community meetings. They'll also speak to faculty about design and what it is that we want. You are welcome to attend any of those meetings. Just let us know. But we are moving forward with your assistance and your support and partnership. So thank you very much for that. Electric buses, I believe the last time I was here, I told you about electric buses and that we had completed or were about to complete the grant. We were not in the first round for electric buses, but are told that we can apply again. So we are going to be in the second round in hopes that we can get at least 3, because we have 3 buses that are in the town of Farmville. So we would replace those buses for that. And then my last, that I am very, very excited about, very proud of, and thank you, Supervisor Townsend, for reminding me that you all do have a recognition program. So I'd like to share that our boys and girls basketball, middle school basketball team won the Southside Middle School Western Division title and championship. So that's the equivalent of the state championship. There is nowhere else to go. They are at the top. So we are very, very excited about them and all of those students. They are being honored tomorrow at Hampden-Sydney during halftime at the men's basketball game. So I invite any and all of you to come if you'd like to be a part of that celebration. And I'd also like permission to bring our students to you in March to celebrate them here as well. They've done a tremendous job, so have their coaches, and we are all very, very proud of them.
Absolutely.
So, thank you. They did a phenomenal job. So do you have any questions for me? Or would like to know about anything? Great. Things are running smoothly on campus, so anytime that you'd like to visit, you are welcome. All righty.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you
Johnson.
so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll move on now to our public hearing. Robbie, I think you got part A,
Yes, sir.
please.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the county received an application request from Robert and Betsy Jenkins for a special use permit to operate a wedding and events center with lodging on tax map number 053-A3 located at 3286 Poorhouse Road. I think most of all of you know this property as the home of former and late Bobby Jones. The Jenkins family purchased this property last year, and they are seeking this use from you all. This public hearing was properly advertised in the Farmville Herald, and adjoining property notification letters went to all owners. The Planning Commission held their advisory hearing on January 17th. No one spoke in opposition, and we have received no letters of opposition to this application since that time to date. Planning Commission recommended approval, unanimous approval with conditions, forwarding this to you all. There are 19 potential conditions on page 106 and 107 of your packet for your consideration. Staff is of the opinion that this use is generally compatible with the surrounding zoning district and will have minimal impact on surrounding properties. I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have of me. I move that it be closed, hearing no opposition.
Second.
All right. We need to do a vote. Pass.
Did you officially open the public hearing? I just want to make sure, Lou.
A minute ago, yes.
Okay. So, yes, sir,
Gotta
you do need an
close it.
official motion now to approve it or
I
not.
make a motion that be approved as presented with the conditions on page 106 and 107.
Motion made. Second.
Yeah.
Odessa?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay, yes.
Had something else on my mind.
Yes.
Harrison? David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And my vote is yes. Carried. Say that again, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Now,
No kidding.
we'll go back to
There's several
Sheriff
of these.
Tony Epps for your comments tonight, please.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I thought everyone came to hear me speak, but they all left.
Tony.
Don't take it personally.
Thank you, sweetie.
I appreciate everybody being here as witnesses to where I am tonight, and I'm not trying to get out taking my girlfriend to dinner. All right, thank you. All right. I'll brush through this as quickly as possible. I've cut it, this is not everything that we do, but it's 6 pages. And I just I couldn't talk about everything we do in the 2 hours that y'all have given me to talk tonight. I want to read our mission statement. The Prince Edward Sheriff's Office provides impartial law enforcement for its citizens and visitors with up-to-date criminal investigation techniques, highly trained staff to assist with societal needs, and state-of-the-art equipment. Here at the Prince Edward County Sheriff's Office, we are dedicated to community involvement and interact with the public through community policing. Deputies continuously work on strengthening bonds with the public and provide services through character-building programs such as DARE, public forums, and community events for parents and youth. Our community programs include Project Lifesaver, highway safety events, our senior phone patrol triad, and the Neighborhood Watch program, and we've also added back the Crime Solvers program. Like I said, I'm gonna skip through as the best I can, but I do feel like the board needs to know what we do, what we have done, and what we're looking to do. But the introduction of the field deputies and dispatchers provide around-the-clock coverage for our citizens, 365 days a year. We cannot put a sign on the door closed. It just don't happen. Our dispatchers and deputies work 12-hour shifts, and our court deputies work 8-hour shifts, and they are always on call, every day and every weekend. The Sheriff's Office in 2022 received an average of 6,753 administrative phone calls a month, and that's one dispatcher sitting there doing that. Deputies made 5,200 plus business checks for the year. Dispatch made 3,650 phone calls to check just on our senior citizens that are signed up for our senior phone patrol. And I assume everyone knows what that is. The seniors can sign up for this phone patrol, and if they want us to call them in the morning to check on them to make sure they're okay, we call them in the morning. Some of them want it at night, some of them want it both, so that's what we do. In 2022, we responded to 9,280 calls for service. 9,280. That is a lot for a county of our size. We are a busy county. We have 34 full-time positions to staff the following units. We have 6 dispatch positions, which we only have 4. We've got one leaving now. So we've got to try to hire some people. 4 investigators, 1 which is a full-time drug investigator, 2 criminal, and 1 floats and does whatever I need him to do. We have 11 patrol deputies to work 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We have 6 courtroom security officers, 2 civil process servers, 2 great resource officers, and 3 administrators, including myself. Each unit has a supervisor in charge of it to make sure it functions properly. And we also have 2 part-time, I'll say full-time part-time because they work for us every week, who carry the same certification as our full-time staff. I'm going to skip just a little bit. For the most part, we were 4 positions short for the whole 22 year. With that being said, I'm proud to say that we have a new field deputy who has been trained, and he's out and on the road. Deputy James Newman from Maharan, he's already been field trained and he's on the job. And we have a courtroom deputy, Abby Roach, from Prospect, who is currently in the training facility in Lynchburg. So 2022 produced cases that range from sexual assaults to burglaries. There were 3 homicides reported, 2 were ruled self-defense, and the 3rd, an arrest was made. Additionally, 7 shootings that did not result in fatalities were reported, with 2 arrests so far. We also had 1 robbery at a convenience store in which the offender was identified and arrested on the same day. Drugs. Not only our county, but every county has a serious drug problem. And the main problem is meth. And our investigator is assigned, we have 1 drug investigator assigned to the Piedmont Regional Narcotics and Gang Task Force, which was established in March of 2013, and the state police was in the task force. As of last year of 22, they're no longer in it, okay? They saw a need, they needed their people somewhere else, so we don't have them. So what does that mean? When they leave, they take the money with them. So I hope that the board will support me. We can't stop drug investigations. We have to have money to do drug investigations. And so I ask for your support with that. The Sheriff's Office, K-9 SIG, who's a German Shepherd, he assisted with 37 searches in 2022. And the street value of drugs that we seized last year for Prince Edward County only was over $95,000. Getting on down to the end here. Our patrol and field operations unit in 2022, deputies made 2,020 vehicle stops, 1,435 traffic summons issued, 585 warnings. And Dr. Pryor, I think if you take it right on red, they'll give you a warning for that. All right. 19 DUI awards, 12 other non-motor vehicle arrests, resulting in a total of 1,692 summonses issued. Now, when you see these deputies out here running radar, they're doing that when they're off duty from me, okay? I only have 2 people working a shift. They can't run radar while they're working. We answered over 9,000 calls for service. You don't answer 9,000 calls and work radar. It don't happen. So when you see a deputy working radar, he's actually out there working on our at-will program. And that's a way for them to make some extra money to try to keep them here. Because, you know, you got other agencies not too far from here that are offering $10,000, $15,000 more for them to do the same job they do here. So if we don't let them make this extra money, they're not going to stay here. So I want to get that out there. All right, where am I at? There were 13 vehicle pursuits, and I don't like pursuits. But, you know, you can't, what are you going to do? With some of them being terminated by command staff due to road conditions and the initial reason for the traffic stop. So if I don't think it's important enough to pursue somebody, we're not going to take a chance of pursuing and hurting somebody. That's not going to happen. On one of the pursuits, one of our deputies was shot at and his vehicle was struck. Knowing that his vehicle was struck, he still pursued the vehicle. He did not stop until his tire was flat and he couldn't go any further. Another one, the deputy's vehicle was rammed by the suspect's vehicle. And, you know, most people don't have any idea what these guys are doing out here on the job. So that's why I'm standing up here talking to you. On 2 of the pursuits, we utilized spike strips, which is something that we just brought on in the last year or so, to flatten tires, to stop the pursuits sooner, to try to keep someone from getting hurt. Deputies responded to 503 motor vehicle crashes. Most of them was at 307 and 460. Not really. But a lot of them were. 7 were fatal accidents. Deputies worked 360 of the 503 crashes. You may ask, why are you working so many wrecks? Why isn't the state doing it? State might have 1 state trooper working 3 counties. And he's in Appomattox, and he's got someone under arrest. It's quicker for us to go on and do it and get it done than to stand there and wait for somebody. We can't do that. So, we had 17 reported missing persons in 2022. The longest active ground search, I know your copy says 7, but it was actually 8 days that we were boots on the ground, which ended in good results. We brought Ms. Walton home to her family. We've got 1 still missing, and that's a Rice case, a Dabney case, and that's under investigation now, so we hope to get somewhere with that one. 13 were found alive, 1 was found deceased in the state park. And deputies served 422 arrest warrants during the 2022 year. 422. That's a lot. Our courtroom people made 104 transports, 4 out-of-state extraditions, served 7,364 civil papers. 7,364 civil papers. Spent 4,320 hours in court and stood at that front door for 5,200 hours last year. We served 55 TDOs, and the TDOs last for 8 hours. Runs out in 8 hours, and then normally what happens is they issue ECO lasts for 8 hours. When it runs out, they issue TDOs. So 55 TDOs, which means that there was also probably 55 ECOs. Okay, evidence, our evidence room, I just want you to know this, that we did have an audit in our evidence room. And that was due to the personnel change, that the person that was in charge of evidence, I put somebody new in, we had to do an audit. All evidence was found to be submitted in accordance with agency policy, and the evidence room was found to be in order. And any evidence that was no longer needed was destroyed in accordance with the court order and/or Library of Virginia standards. So a lot of old evidence in there that was not needed. We don't need that. Get rid of it. So the Prince Edward County Sheriff's Office wants those we serve to have pride in our sheriff's office. Professional law enforcement services that reflect the values of our community are very important to me. It is our goal to improve the overall quality of life in Prince Edward County through key initiatives of crime prevention, control, transportation safety, and community engagement. We are committed to effectively communicating to maintain the public's trust while being transparent and accountable with those we serve. I want to thank my staff for serving and protecting our citizens. I'm proud of each and every one of them. I want to thank this board for your support and ask that you continue to support law enforcement, fire and rescue, and the safety of our citizens. Thank you. I'll be glad to answer any questions that I can.
Good job.
Thank you.
No questions?
I do have a question before you go, Tony. First of all, I want to thank you for all the work that you and your deputies do. And I want to ask a little bit about narcotics because that's something that's important to my constituents. I have a 3-part question. 1, have you run into fentanyl?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
2, when there's known houses, drug houses, what's the process for going about solving that issue? And do you need more resources? What do you need from us to help with this major issue that's, it's plaguing everywhere, but what can we do here?
Well, money's going to be the big thing. First of all, you get probable cause to get in that house.
Uh-huh.
And there's more than one way to do it. And I don't want to sit here and, publicly tell all of it, but it's going to take some money. And another thing, I got one of the top investigators in the state, bar none. We got to look out for people like him. If we don't, we're going to lose him.
Absolutely.
But, the old game in it, I'm sorry it has to be this way, but it's just the way it's got to be. When you catch somebody and they squall on somebody else, that's the only way you're going to catch them. That's just the way it's always been. That's the way it's going to be. Now, we would do a lot of traffic now with the dog. We can have to have one deputy working traffic. The guy with the dog, he can follow him around, and he don't have to have any probable cause or anything to search the car that his partner stops. But if he stops one, it's a little different. So we are doing more of that now since we got the dog, making a lot of drug arrests with traffic stops. Get a lot of information out of that. You get a lot of them to tell you they want to give you some information, but really all they want to do is get out of there for now. And then they don't want to do nothing later. So, but it takes time, it takes money. It's a bad problem. It is.
Well, thank you.
Welcome.
Do you get any of the, when you seize money these days, what is the story on how much, if any, do we get to keep?
Yeah, we get a certain percentage. So the task force now is down to 4 agencies. It's going to be Buckingham, Cumberland, Farmville Police, and us. And then the Commonwealth Attorney gets a small portion of it. So We do. We get money, and we've used, over the last couple of years, we actually used it to purchase our K-9 dog unit. And we've used it for some other things, Doug. I don't remember everything, but drug investigation equipment and stuff. It's not that much. We haven't hit the mother load yet. Yeah. We're looking for it.
If you can find about 7 or 8 million, it'd be great for a new radio system. Sure.
Yeah, I know it.
Good job.
Don't wait for that.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Sarah.
Tony. Appreciate it.
Let's see here, item 13, transit occupancy tax. Doug, you have that, or Sarah?
I can, Sarah will take it. All right. So localities across Virginia that have implemented local transient occupancy tax ordinances have historically encountered some difficulties with out-of-state accommodations intermediaries, groups like Airbnb, VRBO, et cetera. As a result, during the 2022 General Assembly session, the General Assembly adopted Senate Bill 651, which made it a little bit easier for localities. I'm going to turn it over to Sarah. So the transient occupancy tax, or lodging tax, as it's referred to, have been on the books for a number of years with the county, particularly when they were developing the hotel out at the Granite Falls Boulevard. And the county had really never implemented, but the board's direction of the last year and a half, we have started to implement the occupancy tax. And I think one of the things we're finding, we've got a lot more entities out there that aren't the traditional hotel, like the Farmville Motel up here at 15, but entities out across the county, a lot of those who are using these intermediaries. So with that, I'll turn it over to Sarah.
So as Doug introduced this Senate bill that was in the 2002 session of the General Assembly, created this work group of localities, and it was brought to our attention through the Commissioner of Revenue a few weeks ago that that localities across the state are being encouraged to adopt this model ordinance to make it easier for these out-of-state intermediaries to follow local ordinances and to be more responsive about the collection and the return of the taxes to the localities. And I believe there may be a bill in this session of the General Assembly that now is going to require localities to report to the Department of Taxation what their tax rates are. And the purpose of all of this is to, in essence, protect the interest of the localities, to ensure that the Commonwealth or the intermediaries don't say it's too complicated dealing with all of these levels of local government, and so we want to pay the tax to the state. And most Virginia localities know that that never ends well for the locality. When our money goes to the state and then it's returned to us, there's usually some cut taken. So, so the commissioners of revenue across the state have worked together, and Reba brought to us a copy of the attached draft that starts on page 113, which is the model ordinance that was created by the work group, but inputted with Prince Edward County information. So it does not change the tax rate of the original ordinance. It doesn't change any of the processes or the procedures. It just puts our ordinance into the format of the model ordinance so that the Airbnb and the VRBO can go, okay, we know what Prince Edward's doing, and we're going to check them off the list to be able to work with them. So at this point, the board has two, or I guess three options. Number one, you can adopt this as an emergency ordinance, and in doing so, it would become effective immediately, but then we would also ask you to authorize a public hearing so that it can go through the public hearing in March, and then you would consider public input and then consider to adopt or not adopt in March. Or you can wait the month and just authorize the public hearing and adopt in March, or you can always decide that you don't wish to act on it.
And this is only if those who own these properties have their clientele booked through the intermediaries. It's not a tax.
Well, no, so the
there is a
transient
tax.
occupancy tax applies to all accommodations.
Of course.
But the main impetus for creating this model ordinance was to try and bring all of the localities into, I'm going to say, a standard ordinance outline, so that these out-of-state intermediaries wouldn't be able to say, well, it's too
They
complicated
can't plead
dealing.
ignorance, and we've
Yes.
make it more uniform to get payment.
Yes, uniformity is
Got it.
is a good word.
I think so the big thing is that, if I'm in California and I book a house in Prince Edward that's listed under Airbnb, when I pay that Airbnb for that stay, Airbnb will collect not only the rent that I'm going to pay, or the amount for the room, but they will collect the tax, and Airbnb will pay the county directly. So Airbnb, for all all the ones in Prince Edward, will collect those various tax amounts and send them monthly to us.
And monthly Airbnb or VRBO will report to the commissioner who those, I guess, lodging owners are. So that if Sarah Puckett rented this month, but maybe I didn't rent for 6 months, and then 6 months from now I rented again, Airbnb is going to report that Sarah Puckett rented a lodging. And so, because it also is difficult for the Commissioner of Revenue to know who in Prince Edward County is using their property as a lodging if it's through one of these intermediaries. So for her, it's difficult to identify who should be paying the tax in addition to the intermediaries if they're not using them.
Got it.
Because maybe somebody contacts me directly because they're coming in for football weekends at Hampden Sydney, and they say, hey, we'd like to rent your cabin, and I don't go through an intermediary. So that's the other component, is that those intermediaries are actually having to provide the commissioner's office a list of who is working with them, which is also going to be helpful. So we're happy. I'm going to refer to the county attorney who is in the room, and she has reviewed the model ordinance and the draft that was created and is in before the board tonight. And then the current ordinance is like I said, in the board pack. And so we are happy to answer any questions or at the pleasure of the board.
Questions, discussions?
I think it's coming to this. I'm going to make a motion that we accept it as an emergency ordinance and then let it go through the process, therefore it's already in place.
I'll second.
You have a motion, second? Patty Cooper?
Yes.
Jessica Pry?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
And my vote is yes.
Thank you.
Next item is floodplain management ordinance. Robbie Love.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'm going to also echo what I've got in front of you here is the DCR model ordinance. After many years of field work and studies, the Prince Edward counties, which includes Farmville's flood insurance rate maps and flood insurance documents have been updated in FIP, and we have a new effective date of April 19th of 2023. With this comes a state and federal mandate that we update our ordinance accordingly. In looking at this, DCR developed a model ordinance back in 2014. It's been updated and amended through the years, so we pulled that. It was recommended for us to use that as a starting point. We pulled that. I pulled that ordinance and plugged in our community name and specific information, and that's what you have in front of you tonight. This doesn't need to be an emergency ordinance. However, we do need to schedule a public hearing for the March meeting. I set forth the process that DCR sent to us. We'll need to have a final adopted ordinance 30 days before April 19th. This is very important because anyone in the county that has flood insurance will need to have an ordinance in place for them to continue flood insurance. The town of Farmville is going through a similar process. So all I'm asking tonight, or the consideration would be if you would authorize staff to advertise a public hearing for the model floodplain ordinance.
So moved. Second.
Motion second. Patty?
Yes.
Des Pryor?
Yes.
Billy?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Jarrett?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
And my vote is yes. And Robbie, while you're there, the next thing is Planning Commission end-of-year report, please.
Yes, sir. By the Code of Virginia, Planning Commission shall submit a annual report of their activities for the prior year. I'm not going to go point by point on this. If you remember back in December, I gave you all an update of planning and zoning and building activities. So a lot of those numbers are still valid, but this is the format that I put together for the Planning Commission for their 2022 end-of-the-year report. It goes over the number of meetings they held, all the considerations, recommendations. Also show, what I did put in here shows you building permits issued, zoning permits issued, the value of such for the last year. We ended up with 199 zoning permits last year, and then we ended up with 963 building permits last year. Also, of course, I've had the capital improvements plan, showed all the projects that have been completed within that. So again, this is just for your information. No action is needed, but you can see there's been a lot of work in the last year. We had the most zoning permits, and I think building permits issued in probably in our history.
Yeah, I like it. I like this report. Do you know when they're gonna start to work on the Dollar General?
We've actually approved the stormwater permit for that, an ENS permit. Just today, I got the documentation from the health department. They have to have a public well. They have had that done, so the public well is approved. What we're lacking right now is architectural building plans. They have an architect working on those. You saw the renderings.
Right.
But we don't have that final architectural plan. That's the only thing holding up final site plan approval. The site plan that you saw is what's going to be built. I'm anticipating a early spring on that. And those take about 120 days.
Okay.
They can get them done quicker.
Okay.
That site's going to have a good bit of grading and enhanced landscaping than the other two in the county.
Okay.
Being in the highway corridor overlay district, there's enhanced standards, as you know, and then of course, that site's going to get fully bricked, the building on all sides. But that's what we're looking at on that. Any other questions on the end of the year report? Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good job.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now, Ms. Chelsea White, Economic Development Update. Okay.
You want to skip down number 18, Mr. Chairman, while we're waiting?
Yes, we can. Sarah, Aphid Grant, please.
I got some phone calls today about the GIS system. Do we know any more about that?
We know we still got issues with it, and that's why we haven't made it public. The latest one, Robbie and I are working on the concept of trying to get a Longwood geography or computer intern to come into the office. So we've sent an email over to one of the professors over there. We're trying that as an option, trying to solve it. But it's, I know Lou's gotten some comments on it and some others, so it's still one of those things we want to get done. We got 3,000 errors out there in the system, and, you know, again, we've run into some issues. 3,000. And those are, what I call mismatches, where the parcel data doesn't match up with the map or vice versa. So,
Even in the office, the book doesn't match up.
yes, sir.
I was in there this week trying to find a piece, and it's not where it's supposed to be, and they said it is, and I said, it's not a little bit, I know it's not. It's just not in the book correctly. So, but I just,
It's on the to-do list, I promise.
Okay, Sarah.
sorry, Sarah.
Oh, no, that's fine. Last month, we came to the board and discussed the aphid grant for the cannery and the $50,000 grant award that the county had received that would enable us to make additional investments at the cannery to continue to improve its operational efficiency. And there were 5 main items that were outlined in the grant, and we had asked the board to accept the grant funds and authorize county staff to start pursuing the procurement so that we could come back with a final grant budget and be able to give you a specific match amount and ask for an appropriation of the local funds. So that is what we are here to do tonight. You will see laid out on the agenda summary on page 171. The largest item is the replacement of the steam pipes, straps, valves, and gauges. The original grant estimate was $77.5. Randy actually put that out to bid and received 3 bids in the range of $68.5 to $96.5. And so we would be asking the board to accept the low bid. That's one of the recommendations below. Additionally, you'll see the prices for the half-ton chain hoist, the pressure temperature recorders, the steam pot stems, and the RoboCoo blades. With the savings from the procurement of the steam pipe replacement, the staff of Virginia Food Works and the cannery have asked the board if they would consider, or ask if we would ask the board if they would consider adding one item to the grant, which is an electric-powered utility cart, which would enable them to better transport items in and out of the cannery and into the storage building. And it is estimated that the cost of that is about $1,100. If I'm not mistaken, this would be like a 1,000-pound weight limit on this. So I guess these are the full jars that are being transported. So tonight, we would be asking the board to accept the low bid for the $68,500 for the steam pipes, traps, et cetera. Approve and appropriate, we rounded by adding that $1,100 item. We're rounding and asking for $30,000 of local matching funds for a total project cost not to exceed $80,000, and to authorize the county administrator to execute all grant documents on behalf of the county.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion seconded. Harrison?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Odessa?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
My vote is yes.
Thank you.
Ms. White? Oh yeah, there she is.
She's hiding.
Jess, I didn't see you back there.
Didn't mean to hide from you.
It's all right.
Good evening, everyone. So, in your packets, starting on page 157, or I guess 2 pages in particular, 157, and then also 253, you'll find my report. And I just wanted to give some highlights. So I'm going to start with tourism first tonight. So overall, the visitor centers tourism numbers are up as compared to last year during this time, which is very encouraging. We plan to increase the visibility of tourism assets in the county through targeted social media advertising campaigns. So you'll be seeing more of that online, and so, through Facebook and Instagram and platforms like that. We've also continued to be mentioned in travel-related blog posts and articles, which is great for the county. So our name is definitely out there. So now, continuing on with economic development, the IDA had a very productive meeting at the end of last month. We are currently working with them on hiring a consultant for data center industry outreach and marketing for the HIT Park. Generally, the consultant will identify and contact relevant data center developers, owners, operators, and users to understand their needs for a large-scale site and to inform them about the HIT Park. The consultant will also advance discussions to make sure that the HIT Park will meet the prospect's needs in developing and operating data centers, as well as the attending conferences to promote the HIT Park to targeted prospects. And so, continuing on, I'd also like to provide an update to you all regarding the Connect's broadband expansion project. So we had our monthly team project meeting with Mr. James Garrett from Connect's, and he stated that teams are currently working on both sides of 460. Regarding the county and the roads in particular, houses on Five Forks Road, Pin Oak Road, and by this Wednesday, from his report, we'll have fiber ran to them. And mailers have gone out to let residents know that the crews are in their area, and their area is eligible to receive broadband service if they wish to participate.
I've got a question. What are they doing? What is that fiber they running up 15?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I want to back up a moment. You talk about the consultant that the IDA. I think that's an excellent idea to market the HIT Park. What phase are they in, as far as?
Just talking. At this
Have
point,
they
there's a
advertised,
contract.
or-
Well, there's someone there, at the last IDA meeting, we had a closed session. And so, not at that point of advertising, just kind of figuring out what they need from a consultant. And that's kind of where they are with it.
I think that's the way to go, though.
Definitely. Good. I guess going back, so far, 100 contracts have been signed, and that is between the three counties. So that includes Cumberland, Lunenburg, and Prince Edward County as far as the broadband project goes. Also, the IDA wants to develop an economic development strategic plan to attract and retain key industries and strengthen Prince Edward County's local economy. So the cost for this project is $50,000. There is an opportunity to get a $20,000 grant to cover part of, or a big part of, the project's total cost, and the IDA has directed staff to pursue this opportunity. So there is a match requirement of at least half of the project's cost for this grant. So that remaining 30% is needed to cover the cost will need to be contributed by the county. And that would be considered the match funding that would be required for the grant. So with that, we are asking that the board consider contributing half of the match requirement. And so that amount is $15,000. Then, the IDA could consider contributing the other $15,000 to make 30, and then the $20,000 would come from this grant source, and that would equal to $50,000 and cover the full cost of developing this strategic plan for economic development. So there is leftover funding from the last fiscal year that can be used for this project, and I don't know if at this point, Mr. Stanley might want to add anything that I might be leaving out.
The grant is potentially from the governor's AFID program, which, because Prince Edward has a pretty strong agricultural base, they're interested in helping support, coming up with a plan to help promote agriculture as well as other industry. As Chelsea said, we've got about 20,000 sitting in reserves from last year's budget, so we can easily cover the 15. I think in addition, the IDA not only wants the board's financial commitment, but ultimately, I was thinking maybe Dr. Pry's strategic planning committee would partner and serve on that kind of steering committee with the IDA representatives to be part of that discussion. I think it'd be a good lead-in for the comp plan, that we can kind of figure out where do we want to go, who do we want to market and target to. Obviously, we know we've got the data center site, but with the industrial access road that's under construction, we're going to have some assets to market. And it'd be good to have a kind of a roadmap or a plan to be able to identify who is best that we go after. What types of businesses are going to want to locate in Farmville, Prince Edward County?
I think that discussion and communication would be very good.
So if the board's amenable, we can always wait if you want to wait, but if y'all would make a motion to approve the $15,000 match, and she can go back to the IDA. Their meeting's coming up, what, next week?
Yes, next
So
Friday.
You say you got the money from last.
We have in our committed fund, it's in our special projects fund, it was money that, unspent money in Chelsea's budget last year that the board moved aside and set aside for economic development.
So moved.
Second,
Motion seconded. Patty?
yes.
Tessa?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Yes.
Harris? And my vote is yes.
Thank you, and thank you, Doug. I had that written down, but I didn't mention it, so thank you.
One question. The broadband, as they're installing, is it going to be certain areas? Are they going to put a mailing out, we're ready to connect?
Yeah, so
to the
they've
public?
already gone out to the homes that are eligible to receive the service. So, as you know, every single place or every single residence in the county is not eligible for this service. It's mainly, the best way to describe it is, outside of the town limits, of course, and in those areas that don't have very good internet service at all. Those are the first that are eligible to receive this.
Listen, I should be number one.
So Mr. Garrett has told me that mailers have gone out. Now, I don't live in that area, so I haven't, but maybe some of you all may have
Well,
received it, I'm not
I
sure.
know they're out in the Prospect area. I think they're going to be on Oliver Road here in the next couple of weeks, so.
Yeah, actually, tomorrow they said they should be
Yeah.
going down Oliver Road, so.
When you think they're gonna get towards?
I can ask and come back to you.
I think,
2027, I think, when they said Chelsea.
Well,
Go on, tell them.
so,
They almost there, they coming up Priory Hill already.
And I mean, they're in Lunenburg
6-year
County
plan.
too, so they're
Yeah,
coming
they
from
come in both
multiple,
directions.
yeah, and in
Yeah.
Cumberland County,
But
so.
seriously, my area is, this is just.
so Chelsea, year one, it's a 4.5 year project.
Yep.
Year one, they're going from Prospect down through behind Hemp, Sydney, into the heart of the lead district, heading towards Lunenburg. So by the end of this calendar year, they should be heading down towards Lunenburg through your way. Now, if it's your road directly, I can't tell you, but as we get closer, we'll know more specifically.
Right.
But-
Well, I'm thinking about Prospect. It's Prospect. I'm right at Prospect. I'm right at Hampton, Sydney, and it's totally bypassed Bloomfield Road and Darlington Heights. It's just ignored it. And to me, look, that would be in the back. I understand what Jerry is saying. That area is totally ignored.
Matter of fact, you come over there to the bridge, then it stops.
Well, I think you got to remember too, though, he's got 8 crews right now working in different parts of Prince Edward. So they're moving and working in multiple. That's what I know because I get the complaints. Sarah and I get the complaints that my CenturyLink service has been knocked out.
Yeah, come over down to the creek.
Jerry,
Do we know what the speed will
I
be?
want you to know it took a lot of
I
digging
do.
for them to come on that
I just don't
5
have it
road.
on
I think it's up to
On top of my
like
head.
200 megabytes. I've got actually the pricing, the initial pricing and speed stuff available I can find for you. So, yeah, I think to do whatever you need to do, they should be able to take care of it.
Yep.
I ain't gotta leave it, Jerry. They're literally 30 yards away.
It can't, don't,
Yeah, literally. So don't feel bad. They stopped the creek when they stopped at my.
I'm a little bit further away, they're a little bit further away than 30 feet.
And I have to say one more thing, and I think Trey will agree with me. Anytime Trey is gonna have to come to my house and work with me, broadband is just that bad. I could only pick up on my computer when I got to the courthouse today. Out of my area, I can't pick up anything on this computer. And that's sad. That area is terrible.
But that's weird because that computer has its own internet.
Right, but he's gonna have to match it with what I have on Bloomfield, which is much or nothing. It won't work. I can't even pull it up.
Cell service is pretty poor on Bloomfield.
It's terrible.
Data.
Well, I look
Thank you,
forward to it.
Chelsea. You're welcome.
She's also got 17, Mr. Chairman.
We'll move right along to that. Chelsea, while you're there, please, your Wayfinder signage planning and design service, please.
Yes, sir. So in October of 2021, a draft scope of work for a wayfinding master plan for the county was provided by Fraser Associates, which has been broken up into 2 phases. As outlined, phase 1 will provide data gathering, sign needs and locations, and the development of schematic designs, and that's estimated at $24,975. And so that is based on the approved destinations. And phase 2 will provide a sign program and maps showing the content of each sign and map locations, as well as the development of construction documents developed and coordinated through VDOT. And so that's estimated at $24,500. And so in November of 2022, the $30,000 VTC ARPA grant spending plan for tourism recovery was submitted and approved. And so that grant will fund phase 1 of this project as well as part of phase 2. So for professional services such as engineering, competition for contracts between $20,001 and $50,000, whenever feasible, competition will be utilized, but the board may establish alternative procedures for the acquisition of services. Given that Fraser Associates has recently been involved in a wayfinding signage program with the town of Farmville to ensure the cohesiveness of both entities' signage programs, it is recommended by staff that the board waive the solicitation of proposals. And so there are the attachments there that you all have seen before. They've been provided before as well. And so our recommendation is that the Board of Supervisors approve and authorize the county administrator to sign a contract with Fraser Associates for the planning and design services.
So moved.
That's second.
We have a motion seconded. Patty?
Yes.
That's Fry.
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
And my vote is yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chelsea. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Item 19, Rice Convenience Center. Ms. Stanley?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and I apologize to our Properties Committee. We got the bid in, and we haven't had a Properties Committee to talk about it. But during the capital improvement planning process that we established, one of the top projects that was identified was, I guess, the need to really upgrade all of our convenience sites. I know, I can tell you, when I did kind of my 3-month listening tour coming into the county, one of the biggest complaints I heard was the condition of, potholes and mud and inadequate lighting, falling down fences and things at our various convenience sites located around the county. So we've got a total of 7 to provide rural citizens access to solid waste disposal located in Rice, Green Bay, Worsham, Prospect, Darlington Heights, and Verso. In addition, the county operates the Tuggle site, which is located adjacent to the landfill. The current sites are primitive with few amenities, and we're looking to upgrade each of the sites to provide a better customer experience. Upgrades would include paving, new fencing, signage, concrete pads for compactors, and I would say not only concrete pads, it would also have leachate collection systems so that if somebody goes and throws a gallon of oil in their trash bag and our folks can't see it, when that compactor is operated, that oil is going to leak out, or that cooking oil is going to leak out, or that gasoline container is going to leak. And what it does is it'll contaminate the soil underneath the compactor. We also would add and improve site lighting so that you can, adequately see and feel safe when you're at the sites, particularly in the winter for daylight savings time. That's an issue. Most of our current sites are unpaved, typically have potholes, and again, don't have adequate screening. I know Supervisor Emmert, we've talked about that a couple of times about, as a trash site, it should have landscaping and, a lattice fence around the outside. So they're uninviting to the public and reflect poorly on the community. The improvements would serve the entire community, with those living outside of Farmville town limits getting the most benefit. So as part of the capital improvement plan, the county included the upgrading of the sites. They were tied as the number 2 project in the plan. The concept of the Rice site has grown since the initial conception. In addition to paving and replacement of fencing, the Rice site needed reconfiguration. That is our busiest site in the county. That's why it was chosen first. And it needs expansion to accommodate future growth and demand. As proposed, and the copy of the layout is included in your packet, expanded site footprint, a new commercial entrance. Right now, there are 2 entrances. Neither of them meet VDOT standards. Both of them are substandard. One of them is too close to 460 and presents a traffic hazard for site distance. Stormwater management, right now, there is no stormwater management. You got the Sandy River, of course, running right beside the site. There is no leachate collection system, so whatever goes in that compactor is going to end up in that ground and is going to end up in the Sandy River. Expanded recycling container space for us to put additional containers so that one fills up, you've got a backup, and citizens aren't forced to throw the stuff away because there's nowhere to put it. Again, paving, and not just paving, heavy-duty paving to handle the trucks that will have to come in and pick up those containers. Again, new fencing, modern LED, high-efficiency lighting, our new signage to match the county signage, landscaping around the outside along Aspen Hill Road there. And at this site, we're going to include space for 2 compactors. The value in 2 compactors was one is full, you can switch traffic, go to the other one while you're waiting for that vehicle to come pick it up. Plan is probably not to have it when we first open, but eventually we'll have the ability there in the pad to be able to accommodate that. Funding for the implementation of all the county capital improvement projects. We've got funding in the capital improvement plan. Current year, we've spent money on the courthouse chiller and the courthouse lawn projects. We do have about $419,000 that was set aside in our special projects fund from last year, which will help with the cost of some of these projects. But to move forward, we will ultimately need the board to appropriate some additional funding from fund balance. As reported with the audit, the county had a fund balance of a little over $18 million. That doesn't include any return to the school board for the unspent 22 funds, which was about $1.8 million. It doesn't include the return, Sandy River project funding that we've already committed to, or the match that we needed on the County Industrial Park Access Road. But even with those commitments, I think we're in good financial shape, and this is a good investment for the long term of the community. When we bid out the project, we got 2 bids. J.R. Caskey, Inc., a bid of $1,031,864.88, and then the second bid from Web Development LLC of $879,292. The bids were reviewed by Timmons. A recommendation for award letters included in the packet, and they've evaluated the 2 bids. Both bids contain the mandated 5% bid bond. The low bid of $879 is approximately 13% lower than the engineer's estimate of $1,006,706. Based on the interest in the project and the 2 competitive bids, Timmons feels we have a fair bid that is commensurate with the work involved, and they recommend the award of the bid to Web Development LLC. Again, it's a pretty sizable amount. It's more than we thought we were going to get into. Some of the other sites we won't need to spend as much, but I think we need to do Rice correctly and environmentally friendly because it's sitting next to, again, a wetland area in the Sandy River. But with that, I think there's a price breakout spreadsheet that's on the dais, green and yellow. That was broken out by Timmons. But, you know, I think we've worked it about as hard as we can work it. We actually looked at some value engineering items, but honestly, you know, you can try to take out the lighting and put up some wood poles and save, you know, 15,000. You can pull out the second compactor, but I can tell you, if you try to go back in later, and it's going to cost you a lot more money to do it. It's much better to do it right and do it up front. The last thing was you could possibly try to shrink the site down a little bit size-wise and get rid of some of the space for containers. But again, then you won't have the room for the extra containers on the site. So I think in the long run, it'll hamstring you. But with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Hard to believe they valued clearing and grubbing, site demolition and prep in such a crazily disparate way. Yeah, one group said it would cost 30 grand, the other one said it cost 275 grand.
Yeah.
Is this the best location long-term?
You know, I think we've had that conversation with staff. You know, somebody suggested, go up and buy Tim Thorpe's site. I said, yeah, but then I'm going to spend $1 million for the site, plus I got the cost. I think, you know, it's at a pretty accessible site. It's up front by the highway. It doesn't mean you can't go by, like, I don't know, up at Green Bay at the corner there on the intersection. You know, get up on the higher side, but you're still, the base stuff, you're still going to end up spending as far as the gravel, concrete, all of the basic materials are probably not going to change. All you're going to do is probably add the cost of buying another site. I guess the question, that's a good question for the board, is the community seems to have been happy with the location. I don't get complaints. You can bring it a little bit closer to town, but that's pulling it farther away from folks in Rice. You know, like I said, if I go to Green Bay, that's the other one that clicked in my head, was maybe a decent location. But if you're pulling it a mile closer to town, it might make it a little less convenient for folks that are closer to the county line.
The biggest concern people had was, like, you fixed it with that thing to catch all the leakage, you know, with the water. That was the only concern I had, was about the water. But this thing's gonna catch all that, so that took care of that, you know.
Yeah, by putting those tanks in, and you go in there, you'll bring the tanker truck in or something and pump it out. And take that to the town, let them process it with the
We
wastewater.
already have a tanker truck, correct?
That's right.
To pump it out,
Yes,
so
sir.
we don't charge, really.
Yep.
That was a big concern, the wetland, you know, but you took care of that, so.
Well, I think all of them, I think this is probably gonna be the largest, most expensive site. Ham City would probably be the next one, because that's pretty huge. Then it may be Prospect. The one in Green Bay is really small.
And I think Prospect's the one that's going to end up in a different location, simply because right now it's crammed between 460 and the trail.
Is that right on the road?
Yeah.
But I'm gonna move that we, award the lump sum of $879,292 to Webb Development LLC and a 5% contingency
Second.
for the Rice Convenience site.
Okay, have a motion, second it. Harrison?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Beth?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Cameron?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
And my vote's
We're gonna
yes.
have to get them done at some
And
point.
I just wanted to add, I know the question's going to come up. Staff has worked out with VDOT. There's a wayside for Lee's Retreat that's about half a mile to the west of this site on 460, and we worked out with VDOT and with the Lee's Retreat folks to utilize that in a temporary fashion during construction. That way, we can turn the whole site over to the contractor, get it completed faster, and hopefully avoid,
What's the
any
tentative
protracted.
timeline on it?
March and finish by early summer.
Okay.
So there are some items that the temporary site will not accept, but we'll start putting that public information out. It's gonna be a streamlined site because we're working on borrowed property and have limited space and, so you won't be able to do everything that you normally can do, but it's gonna certainly handle all of the, regular garbage and, household. But you may have to take some things to the landfill or another site.
Tony, do you know of any wrecks that have happened at that site? One or two?
It wasn't so much a sight. Ran a truck, ran that red one on down through the power line. Well, that was high blow that.
What I was getting at is that's been an unimproved VDOT site for however long, and there have been virtually no wrecks, and we've got 307 and 460. And I wish he was still here because I'd like to bring that to his attention. You have more traffic that goes in and out of there in a day's time than you do coming 307, 460, and they can't get that doggone thing right.
At a zero
And it's-
speed, when the highway speed's coming at you, I mean,
Correct, you go from a dead stop to getting out in 460 with whatever, and we can't get 307, 460 fixed. And what they're gonna do is not gonna fix it. It may alleviate some problem, but it won't fix it. What somebody was talking about just a few minutes ago happened to me almost every Wednesday night coming from Blackstone. There'll be 2 tractor trailers coming right there, and you get there, and one of them all of a sudden decides they've got to go somewhere else. When you take a 2-lane and go to a single lane on a 4-lane road, it's not a fix. It may be an option, but it's not a fix.
Add another lane.
Would have solved it to begin with. I'm not an engineer, but I could have engineered that better.
Yeah. Just had Holiday Inn one night.
That's right.
Comment on the waste sites, I agree, Jerry, yours and David's. One or the other would probably be the next one to do. I will make comment at Darlington Heights, it's out of the way, over the hill, out of sight. But the road in and out of there, that's where the attention's got to go on that one. But I think the rest of the facility is very nice. Very nice. Let's see now. We've approved that, right? All right, Doug, you gonna handle finance and human resource report?
Cheryl, you handling that,
Cheryl?
or am I handling it? Okay. The first item is the engagement letter for pre-audit services. We were fortunate this year to get Mary Earhart and her firm to come in to do the pre-accounting work for us. I know the board's talked about this long before I got here. I think the reality is that pre-work makes the audit a lot easier. If you remember back in the 2019 audit that y'all were finishing up when I got here, it was a disaster from the standpoint of the paperwork was less than be desired. So by bringing in the pre-audit firm, Mary helped us with the FY20. FY21, we had to get a different firm in because we didn't fit her schedule in order to be able to get our audit completed in time. Last year, Sarah was able to beg, borrow, and steal and get on the schedule. We were a little bit later than we wanted, but still able to get things done when we wanted to get it done. I think that we're lucky, and Superintendent Townsend and Supervisor Townsend, the jail uses Mary, and I think he would agree that they provide excellent service. But they do a bunch.
is she in Luray or?
No, she's actually in a little town kind of west of Harrisonburg or southwest of Harrisonburg. Yeah.
I think she was on the conference call.
That's right, yep. So she's provided, one of the things she had identified is that they're looking at Greenville, Virginia, looking at merging possibly with another firm, but she's gone ahead and says, look, we can get on the schedule. They already work with Lunenburg, Charlotte, Appomattox, and Cumberland. They do the similar work for all those localities. But we'd like to go ahead and lock them in and get on the schedule if possible.
Second.
Have a motion been second, David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Anna?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll go again. Patty, I'm sorry. Harrison?
Yes.
I'm moving so fast, I'm already down here with him. I vote yes.
The next is, this is, I'll say a little cleanup. So back in the August 23rd, 2022 meeting, the board approved the interim agreement with Prince Edward County Infrastructure LLC, PECI, for the design and construction of the Sandy River Reservoir water treatment distribution project. As part of the agreement, the county was responsible for up to $1 million in design costs of the project. At this time, we are requesting the board appropriate funds to help us cover the cost of that design. Ultimately, if the board decides to move forward the project, the county can recoup these upfront design costs through bonds sold to construct the infrastructure. So you've got that request in front of you. I think that's the $380,000. Then we've got some adjustments. These are adjustments working on the chiller project, pulling money in from special projects to help balance those line items. So all this money's been spent. We're just basically moving money from accounts or from the general fund to be able to cover those projects.
Make a motion that it be done correctly.
Second.
You have a motion seconded? Patty?
Yes.
Dessa?
Yes.
Bill? Yes. Anna?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
And my vote is yes. All right. Ms. Terry Atkins Wilson, the county attorney's report, please.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Glad to be here before you tonight. January, busy month, although we seem to be spinning our wheels on several projects that we just can't quite seem to get them wrapped up. One of those is we're still working on the sewer easement and the drainage agreement with Lowe's, and communicating with the town of Farmville on their part of the discussion. They're not the hang-up. But anyway, we're still working, trying to get that agreement with Lowe's. Anyway, we also, glad to report I have with me to be recorded in the morning, the Scope building, got that closed, and thankful we'll get that recorded tomorrow. Had one little signature I needed tonight. So anyway, thankful to have that completed. Let's see, I guess we've been working on the transient occupancy tax. We had that training on their January 10th meeting. Working on some opioid information for the coming months. Anyway, that's about all that I have in my report. Y'all have any questions, concerns, areas of interest?
What's the deal with that opioid?
So right now, we're just collecting it and putting it in the pot. At some point, we need to have a meeting. I know the jail's interested. I know Crossroads is interested. I know the health district is interested. And the Commonwealth Attorney for drug court. So I think at some point, we're really, at this point, trying to figure out how much, because even today, we got a handful of emails from different settlements, and it's a few $1,000s here and a few $1,000s there. And the strings are pretty, I'm looking, I want somebody to fill out all the paperwork that's going to take spend those funds. But we still don't know how much we're getting yet. Terry, I mean.
No, we
Yeah.
don't. We don't.
So every dime has been put into a special account and will be sitting there, because all of it, you can only use it for certain things.
Correct, and you have to make a
So-
report quarterly on where the
How it's
money-
spent.
what it's spent on and where it's gone. So, anyway.
Okay, thank you.
Here. All right. Thank you, folks.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
Doug, your report?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I just want to give a sincere thanks to all the board members and staff for all their support for both me and my family. My dad's recent passing, and looks like we finally got services scheduled for March 4, but I do appreciate the outreach. Convenience site improvements, we're working on Rice, but staff has been out working at the Worsham and Prospect convenience sites. I don't know if any board members have had a chance to go by, but things look better. There's only so much lipstick you can put on the pig sometimes, but they look a little bit better, and Randy and his guys are going to try to stay on top of them. Landfill equipment on Friday, the county took possession of the new John Deere 755K loader. Employee training on the equipment occurred on Monday, and so we're excited to have that new piece of equipment. I know Jeff would say thank you for his staff, and at least we've got another piece of equipment that hopefully won't be breaking down on a routine basis. County code review, again, county staff been working with the county attorney and commissioner of revenue on the transient occupancy tax ordinance. The Planning Commission will also be considering amendments to the zoning ordinance at its meeting next week. So we're excited to get those in place and changes made, and we'll continue to work through the county code. Chelsea reported on that Valley project update. And Prince Edward fiber has been run to houses on Five Forks, Pin Oak, and again, by this Wednesday, Oliver Road. So they have sent out mailers to let residents know in the area that are eligible to receive the broadband service. Some of them, though, they're more recent, they pulled conduit, but they haven't pulled the fiber yet. So the fiber will be a week or two behind the conduit. They said so far about 100 connection contracts have been signed in 3 counties on the fiber they've been running. The treasurer's office mailed delinquent tax notices last week to taxpayers. A list of properties will be advertised in the Herald on February 17th, so keep an eye out for that. Reassessment, I'm working on the recommendation to the board to get on the board's agenda, hopefully on the March 14th meeting for approval. Field work for the 2025 reassessment will need to start on or about July 1 of this year to be completed by December 31 of next year. It takes about 1.5 years, and because we're going to a 6 to a 4-year cycle, we'll have to start that process pretty soon. As the superintendent mentioned, Mosley Architects will be having some community meetings on the elementary school and have an opportunity for parents and community stakeholders to go and give comments, feedback, recommendations at the beginning, up front of the renovation project. Courthouse, last Friday, the county had a contract to replace the backflow preventer here for the courthouse, and the current one was failing. Scott was here for VDOT, and I did want to thank them they picked up a significant amount of litter on 460. The community looks a lot better in our entrances. It's important for the community to have a clean entrance, and I appreciate Supervisor Townsend's comments about 15. We'll work with them on those sections. Polling precinct at District 7, paperwork has been filed requesting the certificate of no objection with the Office of the Attorney General for moving the precinct from the Farmville Fire Department to the train station. There is a 60-day notice period required. If we have not received an answer by March 13th, the Office of the Attorney General is deemed to have no objection, and Prince Edward County can move forward with the new location for the June primary. So Ken, I know that's your district. We'll keep you posted on that. Sandy River, we're working with Davenport. We're able to get the application to the Virginia Resource Authority for the project submitted by the February 2nd deadline. And we currently we're looking at putting the project under the Heartland Water and Sewer Authority name. We'll see. We'll still have about a month or so to decide if we stay in the spring pool or we want to go to the summer pool. We'll have to make a decision kind of where we're at with the Department of General Services, with our contract. Route 701 Washout Road, I know Dr. Pride gets quite a few comments from time to time about the condition of washout. We have written a letter to the Department of Wildlife Resources for their support for a recreational access project there. The road doesn't have enough traffic really to qualify for a VDOT project, a standard rural addition project, but because it's used for access to the wildlife management area, we're hoping we can tap those additional funds. And so we're giving it a shot, Dr. Pride. We'll see what happens.
And I thank you for bringing it up in my last town hall meeting. Those people have every right to have a decent road as well. They have fought for it for years. They have been made promises by the former administrator. Nothing happened. So I really appreciate all of the efforts you're trying to make, because they deserve it. They pay taxes too.
The last couple of things. So we've got a budget meeting scheduled for the 22nd. That's next Wednesday, 5:30, and I believe at 5 o'clock before that, we have a Faces photo op with her new monument sign. We'll confirm that, send an email. The board funded the new monument sign out there at their building out there on Commerce, so they wanted to do a quick photo op. So anybody that could maybe catch it on the way into the board meeting might try to meet there. And then March 7, Sarah White, we've got a 5:30 VDOT meeting to go over this work session on the secondary 6-year plan,
That's when Scott would like to schedule.
if it works for the board members.
What day?
That'd be your 6-year, Tuesday, March the 7th at 5:30.
6 years.
Yes, sir.
If it works for you guys, you let us.
Maybe out of town. Let me check.
Just let us know. And again, it's a work session, so, obviously, no decisions will be made. We'll talk about recommendations.
This is to discuss roads that should go into the 6-year plan.
What time is it?
Yeah, we said potentially.
Yeah, 5:30, we can move that if,
14th not work for him, or we have something else?
Y'all have a budget work session with the school.
Superintendent at 3:30.
Presentation of the county administrator's budget at 3:30 on the 14th.
We're running out of
For
nights.
the finance committee, that's not everybody, right?
No, that's the full, that's everybody.
Full board. Thank you, Jerry. You got out with one today, Jerry.
We can send a reminder email, and again, y'all can think about it, check your schedules, and let us know. Maybe Sarah, you can send it next day or two, and just, Sarah's got to get back with Scott, so if it doesn't work, we'll have to find another date. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Now, we're going to closed session. Item 23.
Yes, sir, there's a proposed motion for 2 different sections there. On page 233.
Chair, I move the Prince William County Board of Supervisors convene in closed session for the consultation of legal counsel specific matters about the special commissioner's sale of delinquent real estate pursuant to the exemptions provided for section 2.2-3711A8 of the Code of Virginia, and consultation with legal counsel pertaining to the discussion of the county's appeal of a Board of Zoning Appeals decision to reverse a notice of violation, where such briefing in an open meeting would adversely affect the litigation posture of the county pursuant to the exemption provided in section 2.3711A7 of the Code of Virginia.
Second.
We have a motion and seconded. Harrison?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
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 And my vote is yes. Be in closed session.
Board of Supervisors return to open session.
Second.
Get a roll call vote, sir.
Roll call vote. David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Bill?
Yep.
Dessa?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
And my vote is yes.
Whereas Prince Edward County Board of Supervisors has convened in closed session on this day pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote in accordance with the provision of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas section 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia requires certification by the board that such closed session was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the board hereby certifies to the best of each member's knowledge that only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements of Virginia law were discussed in closed session, to which this certification resolution applies, and only such public matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed session was convened was heard, discussed, considered by the board.
Roll call
Need to ask
again.
for a second and then roll call.
Second.
Yeah, motion and second, and roll call vote now. David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Bill?
Yeah.
Dessa?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
And my vote is yes.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we rectify the tax map number 019A7, and the tax number, the TAC number that did the sale as 747840. That we rectify the mistake that was made. Make that motion.
Basically purchasing the lot back.
Purchase and buyback, that's correct.
Okay, have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. David?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Yes. Dessa?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
And my vote yes. You do anything on trying to correct this now?
Yeah, so they'll basically go to the judge and have that lot sold back and repay the purchase price.
Any movement on correcting sales from this point on?
Yeah, so the good thing is the person that had purchased it had a survey done, and she's gonna provide us a signed copy, and I can have Terry put that to record, so that will clean up the record, and we get the tax card fixed.
Okay. All right. What's next now?
The flag. I'll make a motion that we, that the board approve for the appeal to the next level.
To
of the
move
flag.
forward.
Move
Flagpole.
forward with it.
That would be to the Court of Appeals, just to
Yes.
clarify.
And we have a second?
And I would like to add something to that we authorize council to appeal to the Court of Appeals the decision of the Circuit Court in the Bowman BZA appeal. We have to authorize council as well.
And a second?
Second.
You second. Okay. Patty?
Yes.
Dessa?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
And my vote yes.
Mr. Chair, just so that we're square on that, Patty did make the official motion.
Official motion, yes.
And can, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it wasn't, she made the official motion, Jared, it was an amendment,
It's
so
an
that just,
amendment,
just so that we know
Yes.
show in the record.
Cannon was second.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just so we show in the record, it was the official motion.
All right, what would be next now?
So, correspondence, information, again, faces, we just got a photo op, 5 PM before that 22nd meeting. Anybody who can make it, love to have you there. You got the Southside Virginia Community College letter, and then you got your monthly reports from animal control, the building official, and CRC. And David, I believe CRC, y'all have got a meeting here tomorrow morning.
What time is the meeting? Is it meeting at 5:30?
That on the 8th, it's gonna be 22nd? Yes,
22nd.
5:30.
Thank you.
5:30. And Face is gonna do their photo here?
At Faces.
At
we'll
Faces.
send- Yeah, at
Okay.
Faces out there on Commerce.
Okay, that's fine. Commerce Road.
Trying to catch you on the way in for those that are
Okay.
in the outline.
Mr. Chair, just before we adjourn, if we're getting ready to do that, animal control, I've gotten 2 phone calls today and one the other day. The animal control I guess our dog pound or whatever is full, and they're not picking up.
Hey,
dogs.
Sarah. Come, David's got an animal control comment.
I got 2 calls today, and one, I've had 3 within the last 4 or 5 days, where animal control has been called, and they did not respond. They responded in the fact they took the phone call, but they said they could not pick up the dog because they were full. I will say to the board, not the animal control, we've got a problem. Our animal control, if they can't pick up a dog, it's causing a problem. I don't know what we do with them. I know what I do with them. Y'all don't want me to tell you
No,
what I do
don't
with them.
tell us.
That's not-
Don't tell
that's
us.
not fun. Yeah. I take them to my house.
You know,
Okay, let's leave it at that.
I will say, you know, obviously, long-term is, we're looking at new shelter. In the meantime, we gotta manage the population. We are no-kill, but that doesn't mean sometimes you do have to put them down. But, we've been really working the last month or two, if you see the Facebook page and putting pictures. We actually have a lot of adoptable dogs. A lot of them are, you know, hound mix or beagle mix. You go to a lot of other counties and almost every dog is a pit or a pit mix. And some of them you just are not easily adoptable. But, Sarah, I don't know, we actually had Chris in today. I don't know what the latest.
The short answer is, David, is there is no easy answer.
I understand.
Because we have a very, very tiny shelter, and.
Which is
so
being
in the
rectified.
Say that.
Which is being rectified, right?
Well, we need to, the properties committee probably at their next meeting will start the discussion of.
Hire an architect.
What
Get
about,
started.
what about another county, another
gonna
animal
say,
shelter? Temporary housing?
It's just not out there in public shelters. I mean, and I know that our animal control officers have good relationships with a lot of the larger adoption.
Southside SPCA, yeah.
But there ought to be
There's a network, but
ought to be a pen, outdoor pen.
it's, yeah.
There ought to be a cage or a pen or something if you got a menace, right? You're talking about a dangerous animal or a menacing
This is
animal?
not necessarily a dangerous animal, but
It's a
it's,
dangerous dog, that's a whole different
yeah,
sensory.
this
I
one,
thought you were insinuating it's a dangerous dog.
But if it's just a nuisance.
they're not really,
animal,
he's a
Disruptive.
nuisance and he's
Disruptive.
growling. He's not,
Okay, I don't know the particulars of the case you're
right,
saying.
right.
So,
Just passing on, I mean, that's not the, I know
is this
Three.
one animal that you've gotten 3 calls
of,
about?
no.
Okay.
And there's getting ready to be more because there's a trailer that's moved in the area that has 2 pit bulls and one of them was loose yesterday and the people are scared I don't think the dog's a problem, but people are scared and.
I'd say have a call Chris or call Sarah.
They
I
called
think.
Chris, and Chris he responded, and then they called back again this morning, and Ariel said, we don't have any place to put them, and this person very politely said, I'm not asking if you have a place to put them, I'm telling you that your job is to come get these dogs.
And I think those circumstances change from day to day.
So
And-
just asking you to be aware, because it's been brought to me.
Right.
Hey, Doug.
You read the Blackstone newspaper, we take the Courier Record.
That's right.
They've had some serious dog problems in Nottaway County. I mean, serious dog problems, you know. This is something you want to get out in front of.
I want to ask you, if you are attacked by a dog, you do have the right to defend yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. I was gonna say, let me tell you what the state law.
You don't
is.
have to let him attack you.
No, he doesn't, all he has to do is make an aggressive move.
Yeah.
If you feel that there is a
Threatened.
personal safety.
Does that include a pit bull posturing? Were they,
Absolutely.
okay, just clarifying.
We had growing up, one of my friends, the deputy drove onto their property and the dog growled at him. The deputy pulled out his gun and shot the dog in their own driveway and the judge ruled that he had the right to do that. It was crazy.
You took a bad.
No. Yeah.
Second?
He ain't got no more
I think it should be a reality TV.
Shotgun Emmert.
I promise you that I'll solve the problem in 1 week. Maybe in court, but I'll solve the problem.
Single law, David.
Vote for adjournment.
Yes, sir.
Make a motion for adjourn. Recess until, that's correct.
Recess.
Make a motion, we recess.
Second. Yes.
Bill?
Hey, Bill.
Bill,
Yes,
we need a vote.
Ready to go home, yes or no?
Recess.
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
Jared?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Yes.
And yes.